Hi, and welcome to Extracting the Essential of Each Breath by understanding the anatomy of the diaphragm. The respiratory diaphragm is what we call the skeletal muscles, and other skeletal muscles you may have heard of are, for example, the bicep and the tricep, or the quadriceps and the hamstrings, and there are numerous other ones throughout the body that behave the same way. One of the most common understandings is if there is a tension in the muscle, we can't yet stretch it. We need to warm it up. Similar to any sport or activity you want to do, it's very common to practice or to see other people warm up the muscles before they go into the given sport. So by moving easily, the movement itself will carry circulation throughout these regions, which in turn brings oxygen, removes the CO2 buildup as lactic acid, and softens the tissues, and so on and so on. There are many other actions involved in this very simple warm-up action, for example. And then once we've done the warm-up, the muscles are more apt to do their full amplitude. The full amplitude is from neutral to contraction, or neutral to expansion or extension. Stretch is a simple way to put it. So very similar to the phenomenon, if I have tension in my bicep, I'm not going to yet try to stretch it. A tense muscle can't stretch. A tense muscle has to first relax and then it can stretch. So if I apply that understanding to my respiratory diaphragm, the respiratory diaphragm needs to move with each breath. The movement comes from the expansion of the lungs that fill up and empty out, kind of like balloons. And when they fill up, they push down onto the diaphragm, which then bounces back to its place. If there is tension in this region, and it's very common to have tension in this region, then we can understand, similar to the bicep example, the diaphragm itself isn't ready to stretch. It needs first to relax and release in order to have its full amplitude. If you've watched my video on the importance of having a comfortable breath more than having a deep breath, this is simply another way to support the same understanding. I'm saying the same thing and I'm trying to explain it in a deeper or different way. So to recap and to understand, if there's tension in my diaphragm, just like when there's tension in my bicep, it's not ready to do a full amplitude of movement. It's not ready to do a full, long, deep breath. It could be just as challenging as trying to stretch a tight bicep or a tight hamstring, for example. So then the best way to warm up this region is to just do simple, comfortable breathing with equal parts inhale and exhale, similar to what I had described. And then the very phenomenon of allowing this breath to be comfortable and easy, naturally, the movement will create circulation of fluids similar to what I had explained earlier, and the result will naturally ease up any tension that might be there to result in a fuller, slower, more balanced breath. Let's try that if you wish. You can stay in a standing position, you can sit down or lie down, and the most important is that the body be comfortable. When the body is comfortable, the breath is comfortable, and vice versa. Once you've settled in, you can just take some time to notice the movement of the breath. And first, let's just notice, let's observe. And those are different verbs than adjust or control. We'll get to those maybe in a minute. For now, just observe the natural movement of the air moving in and moving out. Notice where it's going and how it feels. And then just double check that you're inhaling as much as you're exhaling. You're letting out as much air as you're letting in. That will naturally increase the diaphragm's amplitude, which is a different way to describe, will deepen the breath. Just by allowing it to happen and feeling the inhale-exhale will create the full amplitude of the diaphragm's movement. And the more that it's comfortable, the more that it's being warmed up, the more that each breath can be slightly deeper than the last. And as long as we respect the comfortable breath, then it will only get more and more comfortable. As soon as you become too strained or you feel too much effort in the breath, just take a break. Let the body do what it wants with the breath. And as soon as you feel comfortable, start again. And while we continue this movement of the breathing, I invite you to open your eyes in whichever position you're in. And take your time while continuing this comfortable breathing. I invite you to just get up and walk around the room. And notice that you can be aware of the breath even when you're doing a given activity. This is to train the brain to be aware of the activity and the breathing simultaneously. During the day, we continue to breathe while we do all these activities, all these actions. One doesn't stop for the other. And so can we train the brain to be aware of comfortable breathing to invite comfortable actions? Once you've understood this principle, I invite you to continue to practice it continuously. And knowing that we breathe 24/7, you have plenty of opportunities. There are other videos that support the importance of this, complement, elaborate, explore along these lines. And this is extracting the essential of comfortable breathing by understanding the anatomy of the diaphragm. And please join me in my next videos. See you soon.